Hey guys, I'm Simon and welcome to an architecture tour of Morrowind. As you can see, Bethesda Softworks presents The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So this is the third game in the Elder Scrolls series. If you know about Oblivion, that's the fourth game. If you know about Skyrim, which is coming out this November, that's the fifth game, so this is before that. Now this game was made in 2002, so it's fairly old, and you'll see pretty soon the graphics are fairly dated and the gameplay is, not as fine-tuned as modern games. Sometimes it's a little difficult, or sometimes it's a little frustrating, or it's not always fun. That's how it is with older games. Anyway, I'm not gonna play through the game, I'm just gonna show the towns and the architecture, and maybe talk a bit about how it relates to the story and the background of the game. So I'm gonna load a character, and I've been power leveling this character, so it's got all sorts of crazy stats. So this is Seyda Neen, and this is where you start the game. I guess I should start here. If you haven't played these sorts of Bethesda games before, it's basically an open world game. There's a plot and there's a story, but you don't have to follow it. You can just go around and do whatever you like. I wasn't really sure where to start, to be honest, because the Elder Scrolls, the thing is, it's got such a huge amount of lore, a huge amount of background. The music's a bit loud, actually. So there's a lot of background story to all of this, and so it's very difficult to just explain it all in a few videos. I guess if you play the game, then you eventually encounter most of it. Now before we start, I should talk about a few things. I'm running the Morrowind graphics extender, which allows for the distant landscapes. You see those buildings there, and those trees out there. In the original game you couldn't do that. You couldn't see that because the graphics and the computers at the time were not able to basically render out all of this stuff. I mean, it looks pretty crude by today's standards. But the hardware simply couldn't handle it, and so there'll be a fog around about there and you couldn't see past it. So that's how the game originally was, but I'm using this mod. I mean, I want to show the game as it was designed, but it also, I think this is acceptable. I mean, it looks a lot better and it allows us to see what's going on better. Anyway, back to what I was saying. This is Seyda Neen. This is where you start the game. You start the game, you arrive in the boat here, and then you go through the character creation in this building here. And yeah, I figured the best way to do this is just to use some of these books they provide in the game, and there are a lot of books in the game. I think if you try to read through all of it, it's like reading a small novel. But let's go to Guide to Vardenfall. So that's where we are. This is the map. Whoops. This is the map. So the game area is basically this, and we are in Seyda Neen. So okay, so here's the background, right? Morrowind is the northeasternmost province of the Tamrielic Empire, bounded on the north and east by the Sea of Ghosts, in the west by Skyrim, and the southwest by Cyrodiil, and the south by Black Marsh. I mean, these are the other provinces, so you never go to them. But Skyrim, that's the fifth game, so obviously fifth game occurs there. The fourth game, Oblivion, happens mostly in Cyrodiil. There hasn't been a game on Black Marsh before, but anyway. So Vardenfall district encompasses Vardenfall Island, a great landmass dominated by the giant volcano Red Mountain, and is cut off from the mainland Morrowind by the surrounding inner sea. So this is Vardenfall, this is Red Mountain, the volcano. Morrowind is around about there. Most of Morrowind is actually this island. And then Skyrim's over here, Black Marsh is to the south, etc, etc. Only recently open to settlement and trade, most of the island's population is confined to the relatively hospitable west and southwest coast. Right? So mostly around here is the population. Oldrun is more here. I'm not sure why in this map it's out here. So yeah, most of the people are down here. Centered on the ancient city of Vivek and the old Great House district centers at Balmora, Oldrun and Sadrith Mora. The rest of the island is covered by hostile desert wastes, arid grasslands and volcanic badlands, and thinly populated by the nomadic Ashlander tribes. Right. Vardenfall has 9 basic geographic regions, each with their own distinctive plants and terrain features, qualitative base, blah 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 blah, so there's 9 areas and I won't go into that so much. Although we are in the Bitter Coast, so we might want to look at that. The western coast of Vardenfall from Seyda Neen north to Narmok is called the Bitter Coast. Salt marshes and humid swamps of this region are uninhabited, with the only settlement found at good harbours of Narmok, Hlaod, I don't know how to pronounce that, Hlaod, and Seyda Neen, and also called the Smuggles Coast. The region's secluded coast and island provide refuge for criminal trade, and the frequent rain and fog hide small boats from excise cutters. So excise, that's the Imperial tax collectors basically, and customs office. The piercing light of the Grand Pharaohs at the mouth of the harbour of the port village of Seyda Neen is a beacon to mariners throughout the inner sea. Most visitors from the Empire make landfall at the port of Seyda Neen, like we did, where they are processed by the Imperial Census and Excise Commission agents of the Coast Guard station. The Coast Guard cutters docked here control smuggling and piracy on the inner sea. Okay, so that's where we are. We're in the Bitter Coast. These are swamplands. And if we expand the map a bit, oops. So that's Vardenfall. The rest of Morrowind should be around here, but it's not in the game. So we are here, Bitter Coast, from Narmok to Seyda Neen. This is the Bitter Coast area, and that's Vivek. And the town looks like this. We are here. So that's the dock where we come in. And I don't know if you gathered. No, you didn't actually. So this is an Imperial province. And the natives of Morrowind are the Dunmer, the Dark Elves. And the Imperials are humans. So you see this guy here. He's a guard. Come back. I'm an officer of the Imperial Legion. I mean, if you want to read all of this stuff in the game, then you have plenty of stuff to read. So he's an Imperial Legion, so he's basically a soldier from Cyrodiil. And this town, as it was said in that document, is basically a port that links the rest of the Empire to Morrowind, or to Vardenfall. And these houses are basically Imperial style houses. Based loosely, I guess, on medieval European houses. I mean, stone with pitched roofs and all that. So these are fairly familiar. Now, over on this side, we have these shacks. And these shacks are more native. Like, they're the native Dunmar dwellings in the Bitter Coast. So the fishing villages of, let's see, of Hlaud and Narmok, they'll be composed mostly of, you know, these huts. And, you know, obviously these are different. So these are the natives, and these are the Imperials. She's a high elf with the gold skin. You should be quiet. I mean, so even right here in the first town, you can kind of see the cultural and racial differences being represented by these buildings. So the differences between the colonial imperial architecture and the native architecture, and obviously these guys are a lot poorer, the Dark Elves, and whereas the Imperials, they appear to have more resources at their disposal. There's the lighthouse there. What else do I have to say? Well, let's come in here. So this is the Census and Excise Office. He is the ranking officer, I guess. So the interior of the Imperial Buildings are like that. I mean, it's fairly complex, I guess. Timber and stone. So as you can see, the Legion is based mostly on Roman soldiers in this game. And there's a lot of tapestries on the walls and carpets and everything, so it seems like these guys have a bit of money as opposed to these poorer guys living over here.
This is unexpected.
Go to one of these houses. It's a shack, they call it, and basically it's, well, it's a shack. There's not much to it. It's like a fire and a hammock and some pretty unremarkable furniture. And so, yeah, I guess the main point is that they're not well integrated, right? There's a clear separation between the two.
Is there something I can do for you?
This is the
What do I owe the honor, Breton?
the main shop and tavern of this little village. And it's the same architecture, the same Imperial style architecture.
Is there something I can do for you, Outlander?
And so these are the Dark Elves, they're the natives, but as you can see, well, you might not see, but she is dressed in Imperial clothing. And I think most of the Dark Elves in this town are in fact not entirely native, like they are more integrated into the Imperial culture than the actual natives, which we will get to in later videos as we go to see the other towns. But if you talk to each guy, like most of these people have backgrounds. So if you say background, he's a bard, and again you can ask him a lot of things. In fact, let's ask him about the Dunmer. We're the dark-skinned, red-eyed elven people of Morrowind. The Westerners call us Dark Elves, but we prefer to call ourselves the Dunmer. So Cyrodiil is the creator of human imperial high culture on Tamriel. So the Empire is the educated, well-spoken natives of the civilized cosmopolitan province of Cyrodiil. Well, I won't go through too much of this actually, because, well, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to read.
You're a lot more refined than most
She's
of the
a
travelers I
scout,
know.
and we can ask her
I
about the
like that.
cities, but we won't. Well, Bitter Coast. Seyda Neen is a small seaport in the Bitter Coast region on the southwest coast of Arnavor. Okay, she doesn't have that much important things to say. I wonder if that's sufficient for the introduction to Seyda Neen. I guess it is. I mean, so we have the tax collectors and Coast Guard buildings supposedly here. Although there aren't actual Coast Guards, so there aren't boats running around out there because of the limitations of the game. Most of these guys are just standing around, they don't actually have any schedule or AI. So we have that building, the Imperial Office building. We have some Imperial style houses forming the main village. We have, I guess, a poorer area off to the side. And we have the lighthouse, and that's Seyda Neen. I guess, yep, that's all I have to say about this town.
What do you want?
That thing there is a Silk Strider, by the way. It's like a bus, except it's a giant insect, and you can travel to other places along. You can talk to that guy, and he'll take you to other towns. Yeah, I think we'll end this one here. I mean, I do. Well, first off, we'll go to Balmora, Oldrune, Sedrith Mora, and then Vivec. So those are the main cities in the game, and then afterwards we'll see what happens. So
You seek information, Breton?
yeah, this is the first town, and I'll see you guys in the next video.